Well, we completely botched that, folks. Welcome to the Postgame Live, presented by Rock'em. Jonathan Osborne, your host here. As you can tell, I am not producer Kevin. I'm trying to figure out how to shut off that song there here. Completely botched the beginning of this. Didn't update the ticker. This is my first Postgame Live of the season. What's going on, Orlando Magic fans? Tonight, your Orlando Magic with the 117-110 victory at home over the Atlanta Hawks. We're going to break it all down. I see you guys in the chat. Again, this is my first post-game live of the season. Doc 2, I see producer Kevin will be ecstatic. Producer Kevin is ecstatic, but producer Kevin is not here tonight. I am. So in celebration and for you all to help me get through my first post-game live, please go ahead, like this video, smash that like button. If you're not subscribed already, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. Follow us all across social media. We're going to break down this game. What a game, the overtime win for the Orlando Magic. They just cannot give us normal games as of late. They just refuse to do that whatsoever. But before we do that, we're going to go ahead and talk about Rock'em. Let's go ahead, bring up Rock'em's little animation here. I want to go through this with you guys. So if you don't know already, Rock'em is the presenting sponsor of our post-game live show. They're the largest sock store in the world, located, based, and operated in Central Florida. Orlando citizens operating this and working to push these socks out each and every day. I wanted to go through and just show you guys, you Orlando Magic fans, the Magic Maniacs, as producer Kevin likes to say, just some of the offerings from Rock'em. First of all, my very favorite product of theirs, the Magic Win socks, which if you had these, you could use these tomorrow. So what these socks are is after the Magic Win, everybody knows the next day you get 50% off your online order from Papa John's with code MAGICWIN. But scanning that QR code will bring you to the Papa John's site so that you can go ahead and place your order. But as we scroll down here, you've got the City Edition underwear and socks. You've got this year's Classic Edition socks here and the underwear as well. You got the Paolo Banchero, the Anthony Black socks. And as you go down here, you got the Mickey Mouse. You got the stuff. And then coming in at number 2 for me are the split face stuff socks. So a big shout out to Rock'em. They're our presenting sponsor. Great partner. We've been so happy to partner with them all season long. And if you go to Rock'em right now, you can use code MAGIC20 for 20% off. If you're looking at that score at the bottom here, obviously the Magic did not win 109 to 95. That is on me again, completely botching this. Kevin and I went through this entire setup. I was so excited after that overtime game. I came right here to talk about this game with you all. Let's go through the chat. As you'll notice, the setup is going to be a little bit different here tonight. I'm just seeing a super chat here from my guy, Mr. TV. Says, hit the like button. Refs tried to give it away, but P5 too clutch. Prize picks be hitting. Getting a lot of Orlando Magic. Oh. Nice to see Kel back. He looked silky. Doc 2, we'll talk about Kel. I didn't think he looked all that silky tonight, but it is his first game back. A lot of Caleb Houston chat. Turquoise here. Caleb equals Klay Thompson. Eduardo Vasquez, again, Caleb Thompson. Caleb Houston here. Ryan, I was hoping for the game winner in the fourth. Paolo gets that ball to Caleb, and I am running across my living room, arms stretched wide, waiting for Caleb to can that three because I was absolutely sound. People are saying sound. Can people not hear me? Can you all not hear me? Can you guys hear me? Let's get some ones in the chat if you guys can hear me. You can. Okay. Somebody's saying sound. I'm like, what's going on here? Okay, you guys can hear me. Perfect. Thank you so much. Rich Collab talking about Chuma with great defense. Absolutely agree. Was huge on Trey down the stretch there. Was absolutely fantastic. We're going to talk about the refs because it was, I won't say what it actually was, but it was a complete travesty tonight. The officiating that we've gotten in 2 of the last 3 games really been super unbelievable. The Magic just were able to overcome poor officiating tonight. Trae Young gets the most incredible, unfortunate for the opposing team whistle in the entire league. Stephen Luong, really wish Caleb made that game-winning three. Would have shut the entire arena down and cap off an amazing game by him. Caleb Houston with the career high. We'll talk about that in a bit as well. Let's see, just still going through the chat here. Bo Samioglu, I hope I said that right. Starting lineup for best spacing should be Suggs, Caleb, Franz, Paolo, Goga. I do feel like we talked about this a little bit in our group chat about Caleb starting going forward, because tonight was the best game of his career. Forget about the career high in scoring. Just like defensively, he had an offensive rebound and a tip in. He had Jalen for a massive three in the corner in the second half. Caleb was absolutely incredible tonight, but I do still really worry about this lineup not having like a true point guard in the starting unit. I know Paolo and Franz can do that at times, but when those guys don't have it and those guys are struggling getting to the rim, having someone else that can just like settle the offense, get you into a set and get somebody a good shot would just really, really help this offense, I feel like. Michael Lynch, go Magic, play that song. Caleb with the threes tonight, and the dude doing his thing. Thanks, Jonathan. Smash that like, Magic Maniacs. Go ahead, smash that like button there. Michael Martin, can we have the announcer do the Caleb Houston like Sacramento does with Keegan Murray? Not a bad idea. Wouldn't hate that at all. Talking Magic for life, my guy David. Yo, Jonathan, we getting the GOAT tonight on the postgame. I don't know about that because, like I said, I already completely botched this. Don't look at the ticker. Don't look at the score at the bottom. It's all incorrect. I was so excited after that overtime win, to come in here and get this going for you guys, because you waited long enough with the overtime that I forgot to edit that. And Kevin and he helped me set this up this weekend, and we went over that a ton. Ben just bought tickets to the Magic game in Atlanta on the 17th. Gonna bring the Paolo MVP chance. The Paolo MVP chance tonight in the fourth quarter and in the overtime were awesome. Like, shout out to an awesome Kia crowd tonight. The only issue that I have is that with, what was it, 20-something seconds left, whatever it was, in that overtime, that people are heading for the exits. It's like, look at the road trip that this team just had, played their butts off on the road, like undermanned. They finally come home. They have a great game. They have an overtime win. Like, you should stay to the end and give them a standing ovation. Like, leaving that game early was super, super loud, super lame to me, I think. Mallywood talks, who do we need to trade for? I don't know exactly who we should trade for. The Tyus Jones move, like if you're able to get him and sort of entice him and sort of have like a wink handshake deal that you'll be able to re-sign him this season, I think he brings a lot of qualities that would really benefit the Magic a whole lot. Dari Lamassis, shout out to T-Mac for showing love and support to our guys. I love Tracy McGrady so much. That windbreaker that he was wearing tonight, like that like translucent pearlescent, like blue and purple windbreaker, absolutely fire. If I ever have him on the show, would love to ask him if I can have that. Z-Mass, we are one guard away from being a crazy contender. I hope they trade for a good guard. Z-Mass, I feel like we're maybe a couple of minor moves outside of that, but if you put like a legit guard in that starting lineup next to Jalen, and you have Paolo and Franz, and I don't know who's the center, for the future. Is it Wendell? Is it Goga? Is it somebody else? The thing is, I don't even think the center has to be like incredible. Like, if they're just pretty good and consistent, I think that will be good enough. Grits Baby says, Tyus is too small. No. I feel like Jalen, Franz, Paolo, if you get a real rim protector, like for example, if we go after like a Nick Claxton in the offseason, you put a real elite rim protector behind those guys, all of a sudden I don't hate the Tyus pick. I feel like you can hide him to a certain degree. Matt Hoosh, T-Mac and Ryan Anderson, the businessman, didn't even leave early, stayed all the way. That's absolutely true. Ryan Anderson and Tracy McGrady in the building tonight. I know they honored Ryan Anderson. Great to have that guy back in the building. Now that the team is good and having, like, is Ryan Anderson a Magic legend? I mean, he might be. One most improved here. Having guys like that come back is so big, not only for the players, but for the organization and the fan base. And now that the team is good and guys want to be around again, that is so awesome. Let's see here. How are we feeling about Jordan Clarkson, chat? I don't know. I don't think I'm that big on Jordan Clarkson. He's going to get a big payday, I feel like, this summer. Believe he's expiring, and I think he's 31 years old now. I just don't know that he totally fits the DNA of this team. Mr. TV says we need to invite White Chocolate number 55, Jason Williams. Jason Williams has been talking smack about the Magic, so I don't really know how well that would go. All right, guys, let's talk about this game. Really, really appreciate everybody being in the chat here and participating in the chat. Again, if you haven't done so already, please like this button. It really helps the algorithm, helps get this video out to existing and future Magic fans, people that don't even know they are Magic fans yet. So please go ahead, like this. If you're not subscribed already, please subscribe to the YouTube channel and follow us all around on social media. Let's talk about the beginning of this game. Beginning of the game was really, really fun. The Magic started the game on a 16-3 run in the first 4.5 minutes, but then Atlanta scores 20 points in the paint the remaining of the first quarter, and the Magic led 32-20 after one. So you build a big lead. Atlanta comes back. Magic shot 6 of 9 from 3 in that first quarter, and then the Magic had a 2-point lead with 3 minutes 28 seconds left in the second quarter. Atlanta closed the half on a 13-2 run and led the Magic by 9, 60-51 at half. And then a 14-5 Magic run the first 3.5 minutes of the third quarter to tie it at 65. Really, really nice comeback to start that third quarter. And then the Magic closed the third on a 20-13 run to take a 7-point lead into the fourth. You definitely felt this team's confidence growing. You had to like their odds going into the fourth with the lead against this Atlanta team. And by the way, held Atlanta to 31% shooting from the floor in the third quarter and forced 5 turnovers while they shot 56% and outscored Atlanta 34-18. Just an incredible third quarter from the Magic. The Magic led 97-93. A huge offensive rebound from Goga kicked it out to Jalen for the 3 to make it 100-93 with 3:56 to go. At that point, I'm feeling really good about the Magic's odds to just win this game in regulation. Jalen Suggs ends up fouling out a couple of plays later. We'll talk all about the referees. I literally typed up an entire paragraph here, chat, to talk about the officiating in this game, because I thought nothing could be worse than that Sacramento game on Wednesday. This game was arguably worse, because in the Sacramento game, it was like just sort of like back and forth, so both teams sort of benefited to a certain extent. In this game, it was just like every bad call was against the Magic and for the Hawks. Caleb Houston hits a huge 3 to make it 105-100 with 1:07 to go. But then the Hawks have a Trey floater, which cut the lead to 2, and then Sadiq Bey cutting to the rim. Trae Young found him cutting to give him a dunk to tie it at 105 with 18 seconds left. Looks like Paolo's trying to create his own shot, not really able to get to the rim. Finds Caleb wide open at the top of the key for that one, and Caleb was 7 of 13. Did Caleb? No, Caleb did have a 3 in overtime, or did he not? I'm not remembering now, to be honest with you. But Caleb was shooting the lights out this entire game, and when he let that go at the end of regulation, I was arms spread wide, running across my living room, screaming, "Caleb!" because I swore he was going to catch that 3. He misses it. Magic go to overtime, and then Paolo Banchero takes over. Paolo scored 5 straight points to start the overtime period, had 8 points in total in the overtime, and the Magic outscore the Hawks by 7 in the overtime period to get to get the win. I want to talk about the refs here before we get back to the chat here. The refs, it was Kevin Scott, Evan Scott, and there was one other official tonight. I don't remember the elderly gentleman's name, but just completely terrible tonight. First of all, just multiple Paolo Banchero drives. This happens almost every single night now, where Paolo gets to the rim, just gets absolutely clobbered. No respect from the officials. Doesn't get to the free throw line, and Jalen as well. Like Jalen had the fast break drive right into, I want to say it was DeJounte Murray. Just no call. Makes the layup. Should have been an and one. Jalen Suggs, out of all the guys on this team, Jalen Suggs might get the worst whistle because he doesn't get respect from the officials on the offensive end or the defensive end. So Jalen is running into guys on the offensive end, creating contact, trying to get to the rim. doesn't get a call, but yet when he tries to play with physicality on the other side of the ball, is always called for fouls. And tonight, even called for a foul that was a foul, but he didn't commit, which gave him his fifth call, which a couple of possessions later, he ends up fouling out of the game. Quinn Snyder just freaking out on the refs in the first half. Absolutely no call. And then Jamal Mosley gets a tech in the second half because Caleb Houston hits a three. The defender is right underneath his feet. Caleb falls to the ground. Jamal Mosley is arguing to the official for the call and gets teed up. So obviously not equal on both ends of the floor there. And then late in this game, the Magic have a 2-on-1 fast break. Bogdanovich fouls, I think it was Jalen, to stop the break. They call the foul. It's clearly a clear path or a take foul. Not only do they not call the foul, they don't even review it to see if it is a foul. Just like completely like malpractice by the officials. Just not like it's just completely unacceptable. Let's see here. The Trevelyan Queen called on the three attempt in the fourth. Trae Young shoots the ball from the logo, and because he's a smaller guy and he's got to generate more power through that shot, he jumps like 3 feet forward. Trevelyan Queen is turned around looking to see if the ball goes in or not, and Trae jumps 3 feet forward into Trevelyan Queen's foot, and they call a 3-point foul for that. And bad call on Suggs on Trae late in the fourth quarter when Trae is driving to the rim. Jalen's hands are like essentially behind his back. Trae initiates the contact. They call it on Jalen. That was his fourth foul. And then Murray is driving through the lane, tries to drive through Suggs and through Chuma, steps on Chuma's foot and trips, yet they gave that foul to Jalen, which was his fifth. And then somehow Jalen didn't realize that was his fifth foul, and then fouls like the next possession, I think, and that was his sixth and final foul, and fouls out of this game. And you didn't have Jalen going into the overtime period, which, thankfully Paolo was awesome in the overtime period, because that really could have proved very, very costly for the Magic. All right, let's get back to the chat here. Stephen Long says, we don't need any trades this year. We're not winning, no championship this year. Don't ruin the team chemistry and let the boys develop. I do understand that to a certain extent. However, if you can trade for a guy like Tyus Jones and he can have like a wink-wink agreement that he's going to re-sign here, and you don't let that guy sort of get to like restricted free agency, that's only if he agrees to that, right? Like, and I'm just using Tyus Jones as an example, but if you can lock in a guy like that at like an affordable contract, I just find him to be like offensively a perfect fit next to Jalen and Franz and Paolo, and then you just plug and play a rim protecting, rim running center, and like we have an awesome starting lineup for years to come. So I kind of agree with what Steven is saying. Like, you don't want to push your chips in for this season. But if it's a move like that like is a win now and win in the future kind of move, then I really think I'm pretty okay with that here. Robert in Usleen says, aren't you guys happy we didn't go after Jordan Poole? Jordan Poole has the absolute worst plus minus in the entire league this year. I'm sure a lot of you saw that. But yes, I'm very happy that we didn't go after Jordan Poole. Elliot Beard says, we need Anthony Simons. I agree, but after what he did tonight, and I'm sure Portland is really, really happy with Anthony Simons. I really don't think he is going anywhere. Ryan Singh says, sleeping with the Paolo jersey again. Not a bad move. Don't really hate that. Elliot Beard is asking, is there a Magic group chat or forum of some sort? Not trying to plug us here, but if you join our Patreon at patreon.com/the6man-show, if you join our $5 tier or higher, access to our Discord channel is included in that. And our Discord channel is super, super active. I'm sure those guys are still talking. We have guys like all over the world, so it's like any point of the night, people could be in there talking about the Orlando Magic. Stephen Long says, Evan Scott, the referee was definitely favoring Atlanta. I really felt like they all were tonight. Jory B says, we need a player like DeJounte Murray or Malcolm Brogdon. I shouldn't care about this, but our previous beef with DeJounte Murray, I'm just like, I don't really want that dude on this team. I also feel like he's just not really like a high-level three-point shooter. I think if we're going to make a move and we're going to upgrade, it should be for like a high-level 3-point shooter in my opinion. And then Malcolm Brogdon, I like the guy, but like the guy just can't play more than 50 games a year, it seems like, anymore. So we have part of the issue with the guard that we have on this team who, Markelle coming into this season, part of the issue with Markelle is his availability or lack thereof. So are you going to make a move to try to upgrade for a guy that may not be available? My wife, I don't know how many of you know about my wife, Carmen. It was her idea for me to start this podcast, by the way. Shout out my wife. She's probably watching. Love you so much. Tonight we were talking before the game about all these guys out, Markelle coming back, and we just started talking about how over the course of this Jeff Weltman and John Hammond and now Anthony Parker regime, part of the philosophy is like we're going to try to get valuable players at discounted rates because they're essentially reclamation projects. When you talk about Wendell Carter Jr., you talk about Markelle Fultz, bringing in Gary Harris and re-signing Gary Harris, even Joe Ingles to a certain extent, tore his ACL a couple of years ago. The Jonathan Isaac, I don't blame them for that. He was already here, played really well, had one major injury that turned into the ACL, and then they re-signed him here. So I don't totally blame them for that, but obviously, you could argue to what extent that has really worked out or have hurt or held back the Magic in certain respects. If that guy gets healthy, he's a absolute game changer for the Magic. But yeah, at some point it's like, how many more times are we going to make deals for guys that we know have injury history, and then just with fingers crossed and holding those guys together with duct tape, are we going to hope that they're going to be able to stay healthy for our team here? Let's see. If we want Tyus, what are we offering? Stephen Long says. And Jacob Branham says the Discord is pretty awesome. I completely agree. I think a deal for Tyus Jones, it just depends on how much Washington really wants. Do they want a first pick, a first round pick? Like if it comes down to it, if you're looking to make an upgrade and you're offering a couple of guys that are sort of, I don't want to say inconsequential to this roster, and I don't want to name names here because I know nothing. This is pure speculation. But if you're trading a couple of guys who are sort of inconsequential, and we sort of have proof of that this season, I would call and be like, hey, we're going to give you these couple of guys and a second round pick. Oh, a second round pick's not good enough? Okay, what about those guys and 2 second round picks? And then my best and final offer would be a couple of guys that would help make the money match, and then the Denver 2025 first round pick, which is essentially a second round pick. Like that's as far as I would go for a guy who's going to be an unrestricted free agent this year. And again, I would only do this if I'm Jeff Weltman and through, maybe not necessarily what we would call legitimate conversations with Tyus Jones' representation, can say, hey, we need this guy to re-sign here this year if we're going to make a move for him. And if you have all of that, then I'm A-okay making the move for him. Mr. TV says, thank you, Carmen. The super chat, really, really appreciate that, Ty. And yes, thank you, Carmen. Like, you guys don't know, without my wife, Kevin's wife, Luke's wife, none of this stuff would ever happen. Like, they are the real MVPs of this show, taking care of kids, letting us have crazy schedules, let us record super late and, all that kind of stuff. It would not be possible without the wives of the Six-Man Show. Grits Baby, again with the Tyus Jones hate, he's mid and smaller than Cole. Tyus Jones is a 40% three-point shooter, and the last 5 seasons has led the league in assist-to-turnover ratio. So when you're talking about a point guard to legitimately help stabilize your entire offense for a team that is, last time I checked, like bottom 5 or 6 in turnover percentage, a guy like that is exactly what this roster needs. ZMass, any future playback games? Potentially. We tried to do those the best that we could. It just doesn't make a ton of sense for us to do them at the rate at which we were doing them. But yeah, I think in the next few weeks I can get with the guys and try to figure out a night for us to do a playback. Schroeder can shoot, play D, and is a dog. Dennis Schroeder, I don't know that I would hate that, but I don't think he's like a long-term play necessarily for this Magic roster. I love the synergy and the chemistry that he already has with the Wagner brothers, playing for the German national team. But he's a guy that I think is a pretty streaky shooter here. Let's look at a few more chats here, and then we'll go ahead and take a look at the box score. Let's see here. Joe Penelver, as hard as Cole tried to throw the game away, the Magic still won. I think that's being a little bit unfair to Cole. I know you're probably joking. Cole was obviously not trying to throw the game away, but definitely had a rough night offensively. But I felt like he had some big rebounds and made some big plays as well, facilitating. Let's see another one here. Matt, would you take a chance at Cat? I don't think I would, just because we have to be really careful about how much money we are dishing out to other players over the course of the next couple of summers. Number one, Franz, after this year, is most likely going to be offered the designated rookie max extension this offseason. Like he's eligible for it. He's played at an all-star level all year long. He projects to be a guy that's going to be a multi-time all-star, potentially even like an all-NBA guy in the future, and is a cornerstone of this team. So I would be absolutely shocked if the Magic didn't offer that to Franz Wagner this summer, which that's going to account for 25% of the cap in a couple of years once that kicks in. And then not this coming summer, but the following summer, Paolo is absolutely going to be offered that designated rookie max extension. So now you're going to have two guys that are going to, and if those guys make MVP or they make like an all-NBA team, then those guys are going to account for 30% of the cap each. So you're talking about two guys in this new collective bargaining agreement where they're trying to limit like these teams spending just crazy amount of money going into the luxury tax to have these super duper teams. They're trying to limit you doing that. And now we're talking about Paolo and Franz taking up 60% of the cap moving forward. So I'm really going to be careful about who we're trading for. Like at this point, in my opinion, you don't need another like superstar. Paolo and Franz are going to be those guys for you if you really believe in them. And if not, then, I don't even want to get into it, but you could always, trade those guys away for another star, maybe add a sweetener to get a guy who you think might, fit a little bit better. Like something like the Celtics should have done a long time ago, in my opinion, with Jaylen Brown. So moving forward, you just have to be really careful about the amount of money that you're paying, because Paolo and Franz are going to get their bags. So I don't know that I would take a chance on Cat right now. Let's see here. I'm going to keep repeating Tyus Jones over and over. He's the best fit. MK3504. Meh, what's his salary? I don't know Karl Anthony Towns' salary off the top of my head. I'm pretty sure he's in the 30s, 40s, 50s, somewhere around that. And if he's not yet, then he's going to be in line for a massive extension sometime very, very soon. Bo Semiglu says, what would you feel comfortable offering Jalen Suggs? If you mean talking about a contract, as much money as you possibly can, if he continues on this trajectory, right? Like if he's going to be a high 30% three-point shooter, giving you elite defense and can get a little bit better about creation and limit some of the turnovers. In a previous CBA, a guy like that is like a near max guy. Is Jalen Suggs going to be a max guy for this team? I don't know. If you're talking about what would I offer like Suggs in terms of a trade, I'm not putting Suggs in almost any trade unless somebody calls me with like a Godfather type of offer right now. Mr. TV says win streak incoming. I don't know. We're going to take a look at the schedule towards the end of the post-game live here. I don't know that I'm ready to say win streak until we start to get a few guys back. And Derry Lamassis just came through and says his salary is $36 million. So I don't know where he is in terms of like his next extension. He may be a guy that is inching closer towards that third contract. And Cat is almost definitely going to be a guy at some point in his next contract making $50, $60 million a year. It's just kind of the nature of the NBA right now. Luke Del Rossi says, I honestly think we maybe become sellers and move a guard and maybe one forward to give some guys minutes. I got to say, guys, Caleb Houston, let's just get into the box score. Let's go ahead and get into the box score here. Let's start with the Magic. I don't want to talk about the Hawks. Caleb Houston tonight, 25 points in 36 minutes, 8 of 15, 53% from the floor, 7 of 14 from behind the arc, 50% from three, 2 rebounds, 4 assists. Cole ends up leading the team, but for a little bit there, Caleb led the entire team tonight for a little bit with 4 assists and has a steal there as well. Caleb Houston is a guy that for a couple of years now, really since he was drafted, this is a guy who shot 35%, I believe, from behind the arc in college, which 35% three-point shooter in the NBA is okay. But remember, the college three-point line is a couple of feet closer. So that's not like Grady Dick, whoever, all Magic fans seemingly wanted to draft this past draft. Like that guy shot the cover off the ball at Kansas last year. Caleb didn't exactly do that at Michigan a couple of years ago, but from day one, you could just see that picturesque shooting form, and you're like, that kid is going to be a shooter. Now, it's taken a couple of years now, or really just a year because he was a rookie last year. Second year, Caleb, I believe right now, is around 40% for the year. So Caleb is a guy who I could see us moving someone to make minutes for Caleb Houston. You've got this guy for $2 million a year for the rest of this year and 2 more years. Caleb signed a really, really good deal for a second-round pick last year, but the Magic knew what they had in Caleb, I think, and wanted to lock him down long term. I think a 4-year deal is the longest that you can sign a second round pick to, like right off the bat. So Caleb Houston did a great job with that. I could see us, like, if you're deciding, hey, is Gary Harris going to be here next year? He has had durability issues. He hasn't been shooting the ball that well this year. I personally would not move Gary Harris in the season. But heading into next season, if you're like, hey, we have Caleb Houston, we don't need to bring Gary Harris back, I think I'm probably okay with that. Paolo Banchero, 35 points, just another super duper star performance tonight. 4 of 7 from behind the arc, 5 of 7 at the free throw line. Missed a couple of big free throws late in this game, but made the plays that he had to make. 10 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 steals, 1 block. Jalen Johnson is turning into one of the best young wing defenders in the NBA, and did a great job on Paolo tonight for the most part. But Paolo hitting that turnaround in his face in overtime to essentially seal the game. I've been saying this for a few months now. I feel like I keep using the term superstar with Paolo, and in my mind I'm like, well, is he really there yet? I'm there with Paolo. Paolo is a superstar to me. He is going to be a superstar. It's like he's a superstar that the rest of the league hasn't really noticed is a superstar yet. And I think that notice is slowly coming. I really think Paolo is going to be an all-star this year and future, all NBA guy. And the sky is the limit for this kid. Why can't he be an MVP candidate someday? Why can't he eventually be the best guy in the league? I don't see a limit on him at all. Goga Bitadze, 11 points, 14 rebounds tonight, 3 steals, 2 blocks, 27 minutes. Goga, I didn't feel like was great in this game. Now, the numbers, if you just look at the box score, will tell you a different story. I thought our rim presence, especially in that first half, wasn't nearly good enough. I think the Hawks had 38 points in the paint in the first half. Some teams will have 38 points in the paint over the course of an entire game, especially a team like the Hawks that shot 33s tonight. So Goga Bitadze defensively, I felt like struggled a little bit tonight, but to his credit, made big plays down the stretch. Got some big boards down the stretch when we needed him to. Chuma, 3 points tonight, 7 rebounds, 2 assists. Not a great offensive night for Chuma, but played some really great defense on Trey really all night long. Had a couple of, poked the ball loose a couple of times on let's see here. Oh, Kevin's in the chat here. I just saw something pop up over here. Didn't know what it was. Producer Kevin says, hey, Magic Maniacs, what a win. Thanks to Jonathan for rocking the postgame live. See you all on Tuesday. Sincerely, Producer Kevin. Love you, Kevin. Thanks for stopping by and hanging out here. I don't know how long I'm going on this. Maybe this might be the longest postgame live of all time. I really don't know. Kevin probably isn't very happy with me right now. But Chuma, I felt like played great defense on Trae Young. Jalen Suggs, I mean, what more can you say? 16 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, and a steal. 4 of 7 from behind the arc. He keeps the hot three-point shooting going. He's another guy that's inching up into those high 30s, close to 40% from 3 on the year. Fouls out of this game, but I feel like he just got some really bad, crappy, unfortunate whistles in this game. Anthony Black, just 11 minutes tonight. I think it's just due to the illness that he's been dealing with, not feeling 100%. Not a great game for Anthony Black, but he's hurting right now. definitely still dealing with that illness, and we hope that he heals up and rests up and starts feeling better soon, because we need that kid to ball out. Okay, let's talk a little bit about Markelle Fultz. It's not time to just hit the full-blown panic button on Markelle, but almost 15 minutes tonight, did not score, 2 rebounds, 4 assists, a steal, a turnover, 0 of 4 from the free throw line. What I will say about Markelle, one, Luke and I talked about this on the podcast a ton over the course of the last couple of weeks, as Anthony Black has been playing really well, and the starting lineup's been playing well, and we've been winning a lot of games. What does Markelle's role look like when he comes back? And comes off the bench tonight, but even when he was on the floor with a lot of the starters, he wasn't running the show per se. The ball was still very much going through Paolo. The offense was still very much going through Paolo, which I think should be the standard moving forward. The offense should go through Paolo. It should go through Franz. And Markelle should be, if he is in the starting lineup, should be there as a safety valve almost, or a complementary piece, a guy that can just go create his own shot, a handful of times a game, sort of when the offense is bogging down or can set other guys up. What I am concerned about with Markelle at this point is, if you saw the videos tonight from his pregame warmups, or you saw his free throws tonight, or even I think he took a mid-range jump shot tonight, the hitch is very much back with Markelle Fultz, which stems from his thoracic outlet syndrome and his right shooting shoulder. I don't know what the long-term outlook is going to look like with Markelle, because he did so much work to get the shoulder back to a place where it was good and functional, and the mid-range stuff looked really, really smooth. He was fine at the free throw line. It was between 75 and 80% most of the time, I feel from the free throw line. If he's been doing all this work, all this time to keep the shoulder good, then why is this happening again? That's my concern now. And if maybe he laxed a little bit on the rehab and now the shoulder stuff has become an issue, that's another concern as well. I'm purely speculating on that. I have no idea. But that, to me, is the biggest concern with Markelle, is that hitch is back. Because if Markelle isn't able to shoot mid-range jumpers effectively, if he's not able to get to the free throw line and knock down free throws effectively, teams are going to pick up on that, and they're just going to load up on him, and he's really going to have a hard time getting to the rim and being effective offensively. So that's something to look at. Again, it's not time to hit the panic button. He's only played, 6 games this year. He missed 2 months. He's going to need a couple of weeks to get back into a rhythm, but I'm hoping that he's able to shake off the rust or whatever is seemingly going on with the jumper. Mo Wagner tonight, 15 points, 7 rebounds, 1 steal, 6 of 12. Solid Mo Wagner night. If he can give you 15, off the bench, 7 rebounds, 50% from the floor, that's going to be a solid Mo Wagner night. 1 of 4 from behind the arc. I do feel he's become a little bit more dependent on the perimeter shooting recently. At the beginning of the season, it just seemed like he was living in the restricted area constantly. I'm sure teams are adjusting to that and have made some adjustments on him defensively, but I would like to see him get a little bit, back to getting to the rim a bit more. Cole Anthony, 10 points tonight, 9 rebounds, 5 assists, 4 turnovers, 3 of 13. Cole just didn't have it really offensively tonight. I think I don't know exactly what is going on. The quad issue, whatever. I think that might be hampering him still to a certain extent. But we've got to find a way to get Cole back into a rhythm. I don't know if not having Joe Ingles in that second lineup, not having a real other facilitator to play alongside of Cole in that second lineup. I don't know how much that is affecting his game. So I want to see if we can get him to be feeling a little bit better, because he had a dunk tonight where he didn't seem to have the same lift that he normally does. So I wonder if that quad is still bothering him, and he just hasn't really been as effective offensively since Joe Ingles went out of the lineup. The last 12 games or so. So Cole, we want him to be a bit more efficient, And then Trevelin Queen gave the Magic good minutes in the second half. 6 points, 2 points, and a rebound and 1 turnover. Trevelin Queen, he's just really solid defensively. When Jalen went out in the overtime period, or when he fouled out and then we went to overtime without him, I would not have hated some Trevelin Queen minutes there. Let me see if NBA has where you can break it down by the quarters. They really don't have that just yet, so can't really look at that. But look at the Magic. Another night, 41% from behind the arc. Never going to be mad at that. Limiting themselves to 11 turnovers. Force the Hawks into 12 turnovers. Don't hate that. And then, 30% from behind the arc, for a team with Trae Young and, Bogdanovich and Sadiq Bey. I think we'll live with that. And then held them to 46%. Magic did a much better job defensively in the second half. That first half, they were just the Hawks were just constantly running to the rim. We'll take a look at the summary in a minute here to see exactly how many points in the paint that was. But the three-headed snake for the Hawks, Trae Young, 31 points, 9 assists. DeJounte Murray, 24 points, 6 rebounds. And then Bogdanovic off the bench with 18 points. Trae Young is just, I don't know if there is another player in the league that I want to watch play basketball less than Trae Young. Just every single play is looking for the whistle. And because of his size and his stature, you legitimately cannot breathe on him without the refs calling it that way. And that's not consistent across the league with guys of his stature, because if you look at a guy like Cole Anthony, who is a bit bigger build than Trae Young, but not significantly, Cole Anthony doesn't get nearly the same benefit of the doubt when it comes to the whistle. And Cole Anthony, I think, is, on the defensive end, one of the more unfairly officiated players in the league, because he fights on that end. He tries his best to be physical, and officials just will not let him be physical on that end. He does anything, especially when he's being posted up by a big. If he's physical at all, it's they're calling that every time. And if you're not going to let him play at the same level of physicality as the big is trying to back him down with, then he's just going to have absolutely no chance. He might as well just let the big run straight to the rim. Let's take a look at the summary really quickly tonight, see if my suspicions were correct. Yeah, 60 points in the paint for Atlanta. That's just really, really not good enough. Biggest lead was that 9-point lead that Atlanta had at the half. Orlando had the 14-point lead early on in the game. 27 bench points for the Magic to Atlanta's 23, and then the turnovers, a low turnover game for the Magic, 11 turnovers. I've been harping on the Magic for the last couple of weeks, talking about the turnovers, but tonight really wasn't as big of an issue. I feel like they did a pretty good job as a unit taking care of the basketball. So really, really happy with that. Let's go back to the main screen here, and let's go back to the chat, see what you guys are saying here. Chris D says, not ready to say anything on Markelle. I'll give him several games. Let's see here. The Magic front office knew the issue with Fultz, which is why they drafted AB. I think there is a lot of credence to that. I do think that is fair. The Magic had Cole Anthony on this roster. They had Jalen Suggs. They had Markelle Fultz. And we've seen them now sign Cole Anthony to an extension. Markelle Fultz is not signed an extension, even though I believe he's still eligible this moment in time. But given the issues that he's had this season, I understand why they still haven't signed him to an extension. And Jalen Suggs was quoted, a couple of weeks ago, when they drafted another guard, that was my wake-up call. Hey, your job can be gone. You can be replaced very, very easily in this league. So, man, I think that's a great point about Fultz and about Anthony Black. I think that's a really fair observation there, that maybe they didn't know that this was happening with Markelle, but I think it might speak to the fact that they weren't 100% confident in what was going on with him. Going through the rest of here, Orlando Infanti says, start Caleb the rest of the season. I'm not there yet, but where I'm at is Caleb definitely needs to be getting very regular rotation minutes, I think. Dizzy Timsky says, we're winning games without half our squad. We'll be fine. What a time. I totally agree with that. With all the injuries that we've occurred throughout the season, the fact that the Magic are now 21-15, there's nothing really to be that upset about right now with this team. Jeremy Quintero says, I was at the game. Caleb looked great. We need to find him minutes. I am absolutely, I'm right there with you guys. Going through the rest of the chat here, David says, just watching body language on the ref, I feel like Markelle, Wendell, and Gary just don't even care. I don't think that's the case at all. I wouldn't say they don't care. I do think their body language could be better, right? I think like sometimes you look over and like the frustration, like they've got to feel frustrated. Like they want to be on the floor, they want to be contributing, in these games and to these wins. And the fact that they've just not been able to stay healthy and be on the floor, I think it is got to be super duper frustrating for those guys. Mess says, I'll be watching DJ's fake out on Trey after this show. I will never forget that. That was the 2018-2019 season. I think that was our last home game of the year. And Jalen was backing down Trey tonight, almost in that exact same spot. And I wanted so badly for Jalen to pull that out of the bag of tricks there. Michael Martin, how long can we sustain without half a roster? That is an absolutely fair question because Paolo Banchero, played how many minutes tonight? 45 minutes tonight for Paolo. Second, overtime game, this week. You have to wonder, like, how long can these guys sustain, like, the heavy amount of minutes that they're playing? Like, we definitely need guys back. Jay Pulauskas says, people were crying about drafting guards. Thank goodness we got our front office. I'm right there with you. Like, sometimes on the night of the draft, I don't see the vision all the time, but I've sort of gotten to the point where I'm just like, hey, I'm just gonna trust this front office here. Zach, man, do you think we could win a chip in the next 10 years? I think this team could potentially win a championship within the next 5 to 7 years. Probably at the earliest. You might be able to talk me into like 3-4 years away, maybe. But historically, like super young teams, like 4 years from now, Paolo will be 26. Like 26-year-old, like your best player. You're usually not like winning the title if you make it there, right? Like if you look at the Celtics from a couple of years ago, like super young team got there against Golden State, it just didn't really work out. If you look at the Magic in 2009, Dwight Howard was 23 years old, didn't quite make it. 1995, Shaq was 22, 23 years old, super young team, didn't quite like work out, So I do think like LeBron James didn't win a title till he was 27. I think Michael Jordan might have been 27, 28. I think Steph Curry was like 27, 28, somewhere around there before they won their first titles. Like it just takes time for teams to grow and gain that playoff experience before they really, really, really know what it takes to win a title here. Let's see. Kenny P. always feels good to beat Trey. Absolutely, completely agree with that. Michael Martin, my mouth should be taped shut when it comes to our front office. I'm pretty much right there with you, Michael Martin. All right, guys, I am gonna pull up the standings here in the Eastern Conference. Take a look and see where the Magic are at right about now. Let's go ahead and pull this up here. So the Magic are back in the fourth seed after tonight. It's going to continue to be going back and forth with the Knicks, the Cavs, the Pacers, the Heat. If the Magic lose, they're going to be 8. If they win a game, they're going to be 6 or 5 or 4. This is just going to keep going back and forth. It's fun to take a look at the standings, but if you see the Magic in 8th, next week, don't start to sweat because these teams are all so close. If any team goes on a 2 or 3 game losing streak or win streak, these seedings are going to fluctuate really a ton. Trying to keep this true to producer Kevin. Let's go ahead and take a look at the games around the league. Timberwolves, Mavs. That one is coming down to the wire. Suns, Grizzlies. They're in the middle of a dogfight there, a low-scoring dogfight in the third quarter. We'll see what comes of that game. The Nuggets, upset about their loss to the Magic at home a couple of nights ago. They are taking it to the Pistons. Raptors are blowing out the Warriors, up almost 30 at half. That is pretty interesting. Chris Paul is now out with the broken hand. He's going to miss several weeks. You got to think that Mike Dunleavy Jr. and the Warriors and Steve Kerr are very, very close to just hitting a major reset button. You've got Steph, so do you try to retool or do you just keep those guys there for the last few years of their career? I don't know the answer, but the Warriors in their current state are not good because the Raptors are really not good. And they're getting absolutely blown out. And are the Warriors at home? Yeah, the Warriors are at home and just getting absolutely smoked. Cleveland with the 2-point win over the Spurs. The Blazers with the overtime win over the Nets. Anthony Simons and Mikal Bridges both went off in that game. And then the Pelicans were up by almost 40 at the end of the third quarter against the Kings in Sacramento. So a big game from the Pelicans here. All right, y'all, let's take a few more from the chat here, and we'll go ahead and wrap this up. We've been going for quite some time now. I appreciate everybody that's been hanging out. If you haven't done so already, please smash that like button. Really, really helps out the channel, helps the algorithm, all that kind of stuff. Subscribe to our channel here. You follow us all over the place on social media at Six Man Show. And if you're feeling really frisky and you want to help support the show and help us do what we do, you can find us at patreon.com/The Six Man Show. We're here, the post-game live show presented by Rock'em. Going to go through a few more chats here, and then we will take a look at the Magic schedule coming up the next few games here. And then we'll go ahead and put a bow on this post-game live. I don't know. Mess says, who is Kaiser Soze? I don't know who that is. Thank you so much for the super chat, by the way. But unfortunately, I have no idea who that is. That I may be a casual, not knowing who that is, but I genuinely do not know who that is. Luis Rosario says, the core of this team with 2 quality free agents and season 40, we get our first chip. Third time is going to be the charm for this franchise. So season 40, that's 5 years from now. Get a couple of quality free agents, have some of the guys on your current roster continue to grow, develop, take some major steps. I think I could see that. Turquoise says, as long as we win a chip by 2030, like Alex Martin says, he may not, like the 2030 may not happen, but he may not be that far off. Kevon Harris back soon, says Steven. Potentially, I know he's been playing a little bit in the G League, so that's good to see. Fernando S. says, based on the standings from last year and where the Magic are now, you can't not consider Paolo as a legit all-star. Paolo Banchero is an all-star this year. I'm like, you can lock it in, bet your mortgage on it, whatever. If he does not, I promise I will have one of the angriest rants that I have ever had in the history of the Six Man Show, because unless he just completely falls apart over the course of the next few weeks, what he is doing night in and night out, like coaches around the league are noticing that, and coaches around the league are the ones that vote the all-star, like the reserves in, like not the starters, but the rest of the all-stars get voted in by coaches around the league. So Paolo absolutely has to be an all-star this year, in my opinion. Jeremy Quintero says, I'm so inspired by y'all. Can't wait to be a more active member of the community in 2024. Been listening for 2 years now. Jeremy, thank you so much, man. That's my favorite thing about everything that we do is the community of Magic fans that we have that hang out with us when we do stuff like this, because, you know, we're almost at the 5-year anniversary of the Six Man Show. We have some big things that we're planning on and hoping will work out. Don't take my word for it just yet, but if something crazy happens around our 5-year anniversary, you all were the ones to hear it first. But been doing this almost for 5 years now. And 5 years ago, I had nobody to talk to about this team. And now we have thousands of people that follow us and hundreds of people that come out to events that we do and join the post-game lives and interact in the chat with us. So it really is the most fun thing that I have ever done in my life. Zach Man says, in your opinion, who should be our starting lineup going forward? Let's just assume everyone is healthy. I don't know, Zach, man. I'm sorry to give you a cop-out. I need to see more from Markelle. I need to see more from Wendell. And I just need more time. I just cannot answer that just yet. Dizzy Timsky says, you did a great job coming off the bench, though. Thank you guys so much. You guys are being so kind in the chat. Really, really appreciate that. Michael Lynch says, thanks, Jonathan, for giving Kevin a night off. Good job. Go Magic. Yeah, we're going to start wrapping this up here. We're going to go ahead, have that music come back, folks. Let me go ahead and pull up our schedule for the next few games here. Ooh, I should have done that already. I can't pull it up on the screen here, but we've got Minnesota coming up on Tuesday. That Six Fan Show may be canceled because of the weather, but then we're at Miami, at Oklahoma City, at New York, at Atlanta. A lot going on. Just want to say thanks so much for you guys. I know the music's coming in right now. You may not be able to hear me, but we're going to record another episode. More post-game lives to come in the future. Thanks for hanging out with me, guys. I hope you all have a fantastic night. And as always, let's go Magic.